freedom is retained in America because people run businesses. Right? I mean, they have their own agency.
Welcome to Brand Talk with Rachel and Drew. I'm Drew.
I'm Rachel.
And Gary.
I'm Gary.
Gary's here.
Let's go.
What's up? So, really cool. I'm excited to get into all kinds of stuff. But Gary has become a friend of ours, and we do some money moves with him. Gary's a smart guy. Got a cool history. I want to know more about your time in the military. And I haven't really gotten to sit down and like talk to you about that. I've seen you talk about it on stage, but I want to know more. But yeah, we're excited to have you, man. You're our third ever guest ever.
Thanks. Well, I think this is the second time maybe in my life I've done an in-studio podcast. I've done hundreds of podcasts, my own, other people's, but traveling almost seemed old school until you get in the room, and then you're like, yeah, this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But this will not be 3 hours long. Sorry.
Depends on where we go. Depends on where we take it.
That's true. But yeah, it's been great to have Gary in our orbit because he has been able to contribute so much value and knowledge to our community. He has been able to personally help so many salon owners that we work with be able to stand up different life policies for their families and themselves and be able to really like think differently about money, move money. And it's been awesome. Our clients have definitely been able to increase their financial IQ and be able to finally, have something in place that is for their family. So many business owners they're working so hard and they're just like on this like rat race and they look up 20, 30 years down the road and they have nothing to show for it. And so, I love y'all's process that you take people through because you're not just like talking to them and selling them a product. Like you really are getting to know them and finding the best solution for them and what they want to do with their lives. All right, guys, real quick. If you're a salon owner who's tired of grinding behind the chair with nothing to show for it but a sore back and an inconsistent bank account, you need to BYOB, build your own brand. This is our signature program helping salon owners all across the country launch their own private label hair extension line under your name with your profit margins and your rules.
It's not just about services. It's about creating an actual brand that can sell while you sleep. Our students are launching their own Shopify stores, wholesaling to local stylists, and finally stepping into the CEO seat without having to reinvent the wheel.
We're literally handing you the playbook. Branding, fulfillment, marketing, legal, all of it. If you've got the hustle, we've got the system.
Click the link in the description below to book a discovery call with our team. Let's build a business that works for you and not the other way around.
BYOB, because doing hair should be because you want to, not because you have to. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I always end up going back too far, so I won't take it long. But I'm 56. I grew up in the 70s, early 80s when I was in high school, and I was on a dairy farm, Southern Illinois, 100 head of cattle, learned work ethic like nobody's business.
I bet.
And it's really what got me through because I had an opportunity. We lost our farm in the high interest rates. There was really nothing in Illinois. It was a very kind of poor place and lots of unemployment. And I looked around. I'm like, I don't want to be here. And I didn't have the political focus that I have today. And so I didn't realize, the impact of Illinois being very, very broke now, right? So they weren't quite there 30 years ago, but I wanted out of Illinois, and I got an opportunity to go to the Naval Academy. And again, I show up as this fish in a very big pond. I didn't even know how to swim. I mean, I can remember the first summer there, they're getting us ready for our first year of academics, and they said, write down all of your IB courses, International Baccalaureate, and then they didn't say that, it just said IB. And then there was AP. And I'm like, I raised my hand. I'm like, what are IB and AP? Like this little farm kid. And so it was challenging. And so I spent 30 years I got the opportunity to go into nuclear submarines and spent close to 30 years doing that. And it was incredible. I commanded a submarine called the USS Tucson in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. We went in the Pacific Ocean and had a really long but tremendous deployment. And it was incredible. And I would not give any of that back. And as I started to think about what I want to do, and I wanted to spend more time around my boys. So they were probably 6 and 8 years old at the time. And so I wanted to, as soon as I was finished with command, to retire early. Most people, the people in the submarine community, the leaders of the community, they're trying to push you to stay, to be an admiral so that they have the best possible selection. And I get that. But I just want to be around my kids because I was around my father. He gave me all of the legacy, the things you leave inside people.
Right.
It was incredible. And so I wanted to pass that to my kids. The problem was I had command of the submarine during the Great Recession, and all my money was in the markets. I had other people kind of managing my financial resources, and it didn't work out. I lost half the money, and I found myself spending another 5 years away from my kids. And that's what launched me into wanting to take control of my own finances. So I started first in real estate, passive and somewhat active business, but mainly passive. And as I got more and more understanding what drove me, it was really about freedom. I mean, that's why I spent 30 years in the military, because I wanted to protect the freedoms that we had in America. And what I learned as I matured and met more people who were living that lifestyle was that true freedom means you run your own business. So you're not just investing money in some passive real estate asset. That's a great approach, but it's not getting where America really was founded. Like, freedom is retained in America because people run businesses, right? I mean, they have their own agency. Like, it's not fun. And my biggest worry is that these salon owners don't get enough traction before they get worn out, right?
Yeah.
And they end up going to do something else. The worst thing is they go back to W-2 and say, like, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't want to be out there fending for myself and running a business where people depend on me. So I want to make sure that they have a large surplus of capital in their business, that they can make it through tough times, and they understand cash flow and just all the fundamentals that make them be successful.
That's awesome, because there's a huge lack of that. And I hear a ton of people that actually have closed their salon that have, decided to go back and working for someone else because it's safer. And in their mind, it's safer. And really, I don't think it's safer. I think it's safer to be able to bet on yourself and work for yourself. But if you don't have the knowledge, and there's a big knowledge gap between what you know and what you need to know, then yeah, it could look safer. So I do have a question really quick.
Yeah.
Your story, how long were you in the submarine? I'm just curious.
So I was on 4 submarines during my career. They were split with about a 3-year gap between them, and so each one I was assigned on them on average 2 to 3 years.
Under the sea?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So
I'm like, what?
We would go out. We would work on an import. We would do some training, and then we would go out to practice, and then we would deploy if we're on an attack submarine. There's 2 classes really in America. There's the ballistic missile submarines that just kind of go out and hide, and they're on this very rigid schedule because they're really kind of like, if you think about the gate guard guy, right? Like, there's always got to be somebody guarding the gate.
Sure.
There's always somebody who has the missiles ready to go. And so we're just kind of on this rotation. It's very predictable. When you first get to the ship, like 3 years later, whether you can be at your friend's wedding or not, because it's all kind of mapped out. But attack submarines are totally different. You could come in and say, hey, next week we're going to do this. And then on Monday, the world gets to vote, and the bad guys say, hey, why don't you come out and play? Actually, they don't say that, but our government says go play.
Yeah.
And so everything changes. And so it's very unpredictable on attack submarines. You may be out for a month. You may be out for 3 months.
Wow.
When we go out intentionally for more than a couple of weeks, we go out with 50 to 60 days of food just in case.
I can't believe it. So you don't see the light of day for that long.
If you're driving the ship. But when I first started, the only guy who would see the light of day is the guy who's on the periscope, like one eye.
Right.
And then
I just mean like the sun hitting your face.
Yeah.
feeling the sun. Yeah.
Yes.
You could easily go a couple months without feeling the sun.
Wow.
Dang.
Well, you've got a great tan, so
Well, now I live in Florida.
not in the submarine.
What were your sleeping quarters like on a submarine?
Well, so the worst case is if you're a new junior, sometimes officers, but typically the junior enlisted, they could spend the first 2 or 3 years of their assignment doing what's called hot racking, which means
that doesn't sound good.
Like you have your own pillow and sheets, and you sleep, and then when it's time for you to go on watch, you get out, and then the guy you relieve, probably not that actual guy, but somebody on the crew that just got relieved from their 6 hours of watch comes in and sleeps in the bed. So you're just kind of multiple people using it. Because we typically go to sea with 130, 140 people, and there's racks for maybe 110.
Wow.
So the officers didn't normally have to do that, but still, you're in a noisy room where people are getting up all the time because they get called by somebody on watch for help or something breaks.
160. That's just like, I can't even wrap my head around the size of that vessel.
Yeah, well, it's surprising. It's a lot bigger than a 747. I think there's those double deckers now from Europe,
wow.
the Airbuses. 380s, so they're getting about the size of those.
That's crazy.
There's a ton of equipment inside it, though.
I'm sorry, we had to pause all the educational content because
Yeah.
I wanted to know about the submarine.
But they're also surprising on how big they are because a lot of it's underwater, kind of like an iceberg, right? So the TAC submarine is 350 feet long, longer than a football field, right?
Wow.
But a missile submarine's almost twice that big.
Dang.
So they're long. Not necessarily big around, but they're long.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's bananas.
SalonCon is fast approaching. It's going to be in January in Miami. Tickets are a fraction of the cost that they were last year, and we did sell out last year. We are going to sell out very, very quickly this year. Make sure that you get tickets for you, your partner if you have one. Bring the A-team. Don't bring everybody. You're going to be learning sales strategies, marketing strategies. I'm going to teach you how to manage your time. I'm going to teach you how to teach your people to help you manage your time. We're going to be doing hands-on extension mastery classes. If you want to get certified in additional methods, be a great time to do it. We're going to be in Miami. It's going to be January 24th through the 27th, and it's going to be incredible.
So that's what all began for you.
Yeah.
And you got into that from what part of Illinois, by the way?
Carbondale, Murfreesboro, very southern end of Illinois.
I got family in Decatur.
Yeah, that's
like
an hour or so.
Corntown.
A couple hours, yeah.
Right. I still remember the smell of that place.
Yeah.
It has a distinctive smell because there's a place called Staley's. It's just very distinctive.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing in there with corn and wheat and whatnot.
Well, you and I were talking about flying airplanes, and that's Decatur's around the place where I was flying at Champaign. And as soon as you get up in the air, you could be 200 feet in the air, everything just disappears, and it's all just square cornfields and square roads and railroad tracks, and you have no idea where you are.
It's just disorienting.
Well, I picked all the corn out of my breakfast this morning because I don't like corn.
So you came from that after the military, and then you got into finance and we talk a lot about how to make money on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like marketing and what I call acquisition and sales and driving and being better and all that, and that's great and that's important information. But it's almost harder to keep it. Making money is difficult, but everybody knows, everyone listening to this has made money and can wrap their head around how to make money. But when you keep the money and grow the money, it almost seems like people talk about that, and it's almost this like idea or this theory or this, someday, one day I'm going to learn how to grow my money, and then we're going to do blah, blah, blah. I guess with what you've come to understand over the years, if someone's wanting to grow their money, what is a common misconception that you've seen out there? And what are some solid things that you have been able to implement and come to understand about helping people do that, keep their money and grow it?
Yeah. So when people want to grow their money, typically what I've experienced is that they take it and put it in a place where they have absolutely no expertise. And they listen. It's funny, like most business owners can smell a rat when it's in their own industry. Like you can tell this thing is not going to work. I have a new, much less expensive hair extensions. We're just going to spray paint on the color that you want, right? Like that's not going to work.
No.
But somebody who is a realtor who wants to invest in your hair extension thing, maybe they would buy into that because like, wow, really, it works. But they don't understand that industry, and so. Like doctors are amazingly smart. They've been to more school than all of us, but they are some of the most gullible people when it comes to investing, like in things that are supposedly mailbox money, right? And I don't understand why that is. I don't know. I guess maybe because they're in this culture of trusting the expert, right? I think you should see a gastroenterologist because I'm not an expert there, right?
Yeah.
And so
this is the guy.
When the investment guy comes in, they're like, okay, well, he's the expert, and they just get taken advantage of frequently. And it's probably okay. I mean, in most cases, most of them are W-2 employees, right? So they have this skill that they depend on, and they don't intend to get rid of it anytime soon. I think where the real risk comes in is when people have built up money, and the reason they want to grow it is because they don't want to be active anymore. They don't want to run the business anymore. And the problem there is that they have this skill that made all the money. Like that's the racehorse. And you probably heard me talk on stage about the racehorse. And, if you realize you have a racehorse that has won, Preakness and it's won the Kentucky Derby and has the chance for the Triple Crown, it's not the time to go, bet on pigs, right? Like you just focus on the racehorse. And so the problem is that people make money. They're super successful. Maybe they sell their business, or maybe they just kind of take their eye off the ball and have somebody else run it. And they start to lose their skills. We were talking about proficiency in flying, right? I think it's super important, but it's also important in making sure the racehorse stays viable. So the worst thing you can do is take yourself out of service. So these people shift from something that they understand and know, and they put their money into something that they have no expertise in, and they find themselves having to trust the experts. I mean, I've done this personally, and the worst thing though is that they take themselves out of service. They kind of retire. I mean, the word retirement means take yourself out of service, put you and your skills in the junkyard.
Right.
And that's risky. That's risky if now you look at your money and your assets and you say, you guys create money for me now, because you have no expertise in doing it, right? That's the risk.
Right. So they're just parking their money. They're moving their money in the thing that they heard from their friend up the road.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the most successful guys I know makes $7 million a year, and he doesn't invest any of it. Like he pays full boat taxes on it, and he just lets it sit in a savings and checking account. I'm like, why in the world do you do that? Why don't you put it to work and make it grow? And he's like, I don't understand that stuff. Like I have people come and talk to me about what investments I should do, but I don't understand them. Like not to the level of my business. So that I think that's a very pure example of he understands what the racehorse is, and he doesn't need to get distracted and waste all the money that he made. Mm-hmm. Right. So just not losing it. Although I can remember the parable of the what's it called? The parable of the talents, right? Mm-hmm. Talents, I think, where the rich individual is going off on a trip and he gives money to 3 of his servants, and one of them grows it by being aggressive, the other one grows it by being fairly conservative, but the other one buries it in the backyard because he doesn't want to lose the money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And kind of the point of that is don't bury it in the backyard. You gotta, you need to make it work.
Right.
And I think people take it too far. I think they take the parable of the talents too far. And they put their money at risk when it's really not needed if you still have the viable business that got you there to start with. I mean, I think the key thing is figure out how to keep that business viable.
I agree, because I think your income is the most powerful tool that you have, obviously, and being able to like just really like double down on things that are working and be able to not spread yourself thin across a bunch of different things unless you have solid systems, solid people in place to be able to maintain what you've created. That's one of the biggest,
the hardest part.
Yes, it's so hard. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen go wrong in not just our own businesses, but all the other business owners that we help, is if you try to step away from something before you have obviously a great understanding of what it is, systems in place to maintain it, but more importantly, who's the person that's going to maintain and hold that thing down while you step away to go build something else. And a lot of times that ends up creating a lot of problems. And sometimes, you see the business owner that has to go back in and they have to go back and fix things. And, that's what leads to burnout right there, is like people trying to step away too soon and to create, they're trying to create wealth. These business owners, they're trying to create wealth, but it's like there's simpler ways of doing it without them necessarily having to go stand up all these other businesses. So like one of the ways that like we work with you, obviously, and like we have also, we have been able to stand up tons of different policies, not just for ourselves, but for our kids. That now that we understand that, through the helps of you being able to explain it to us and share with us exactly how family banking works, which is really what I think our viewers and listeners can gain the most value from today, is like, number one, what is it? But also, how can they do it? Because everyone that listens to this podcast has a job. Everybody that listens to this podcast has that strong income source. It's just a matter of trying to obviously protect and preserve the profit, which is super important, because without profit, you can't do shit. But if they can do that, what can they do with it to protect it further and to also grow it at the same time and not bury it in the backyard? Yeah,
right. And so, really family banking can be done. The concept doesn't require the tools that we use, the life insurance policies. Mm-hmm. It simply requires mindset and kind of a financial concept and understanding what you're doing. And it's essentially saving substantial liquidity for your family and for your business so you don't get caught in a tight spot, and then having access to that to be able to use it to further both the business and family desires and needs. And it can generate the financial legacy side for multiple generations. I mean, you could do that with savings accounts. You could do it with safes in your house or buckets, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't require the life insurance policy. But then when you look around and you say, okay, what I really want then for this family banking system is the most efficient place to save and grow my capital while it's kind of between deals, when it's between investment or between business collateral funding. And when you look around at the different opportunities to save and grow cash, there's a few things that you need to pay attention to, like what's the interest rate it's earning, but also, what is the impact of taxes on it? Mm-hmm. And does it have a guaranteed growth rate? And so as you put all these things together, things you would like to have for qualities of your banking system, they all point to a majority of the success being in life insurance.
Right.
And then that becomes a really nice win-win, because people who have been able to have a successful business and hold on to capital and grow it and even invest it in something outside that they've taken the time to understand and have a bit of control over, then they're like, hey, we understand how to run our business and be successful and run investments and be successful. Now what I want to do is pass it on to future generations. Like I want to pass the legacy and the ideas, and I've freed up my time. I've gotten somebody who can come in and run the business for me. So now I can spend time around my kids.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal. I mean, for us as well, is like spend as much time as possible with our family and be able to, when we just not do like, man, we love our parents, but not do what our parents did, where you're just, no one goes into their life and like, I'm going to, not have anything to show for all this hard work I'm doing. Like no one goes into it with that intention. But unfortunately, throughout time, that can very much happen. It's very likely to happen, especially if you don't have the knowledge of what you could do instead.
And then on the would be really cool to know is, I think you've told me this before, but maybe I heard it somewhere else. But I find it interesting, the history of these kinds of policies. Like when did they? Because it's not a bank, it's not financial institutions putting these things together.
Adjust it to make it be a bank.
Yeah, like these successful guys put these types of things together because I guess, correct me if I'm wrong here, but because of the financial institutions falling apart, and they didn't want to put all their money in the bank. Like, how did these types of insurance policies like begin?
Well, the actual policies are very simple. I mean, there's a lot of math behind it, but it's a simple concept of collecting, protecting, and growing money. And that's been around for 200 plus years. And they just collect the amount that would be necessary that they could grow and make it be big enough to be the death benefit to pass to the family when the person's likely to pass away. So if you started on young Memphis, then you've got 100 years to grow the money. If you started on my grandfather, right, you've only got a few years to start it. So they just simply collect the amount that's necessary to get it there at the right time. And so that's the life insurance policy. And again, those have been around for 200 years. And then about 100 years ago, the farmers, everyone in America was really a farmer 100 years ago, and they needed money to put out crops some years when they were kind of lean. And then they would have this big bumper crop, and they didn't have anywhere to store the cash, because that's when the banks were really not very safe in the early 1900s. And, if you watch It's a Wonderful Life and a few other movies back then, you kind of get the idea that the bank runs, right? Like they didn't have confidence in the U.S. banks. Mm-hmm. And, love them or hate them, that's really what FDIC and the Federal Reserve did bring, was confidence. Whether it's well played or whether it's appropriate or not, Americans pretty much have confidence that the banks are safe today. Uh-huh. But before we got to that point, the insurance companies started allowing people to borrow against their policy instead of having to physically like cash it in and take the money out and start a new one after that. And so it's been around for 100 years, but it was really R. Nelson Nash who popularized it in 2000. So it's been about 25 years where this whole being your own family bank concept kind of came around. Although I would say he popularized it for the middle Americans, right? The middle class. The wealthy families, the John D. Rockefeller kind of families, the Kennedys, those families have been for generations using this concept. And maybe they didn't always use life insurance policies, but they had some combination of a legacy trust, an irrevocable trust that would pass from generation to generation. But combining that, and John D. Rockefeller did do this part, combining the irrevocable legacy generational trust with life insurance policies on the family members is really where the whole family banking brand kind of came about. And so essentially you can access this capital by not having to physically withdraw it. You can borrow against it, which allows, just like your primary residence, it allows the asset to grow in the background without paying tax on all that growth. You can access all of it throughout your lifetime and not interrupt the compounding. And so when you can start to do that for multiple generations, and most importantly, get the kids and grandkids to actually understand it. And so again, that goes back to time freedom, right? Mm-hmm. Like you need to have the freedom to be able to take the toy hauler and go and spend some time in a fun place where the kids will actually listen to this.
For sure.
And learn.
and you can vouch for us, but we learned that and then built that
Yeah.
for
Like right away.
Absolutely.
for our family.
Yeah.
You know, Rachel did a great job. Like, it took me longer to understand, but it just clicked with her. Like, she just really understood that and how all that feeds in. And then she starts, I caught up and understand what we're doing, and then got all these things going. But pretty cool.
When I put my mind on something, it happens.
Yeah. What do you? Another question for you. What do you think's going on with Fort Knox?
What's going on at Fort Knox? It's really kind of interesting.
have no
I can enjoy myself a good conspiracy, I will tell you. But it was interesting. Donald Trump said, we're going to go audit Fort Knox. We're going to go take a look, right? And then he never did.
I haven't heard anything.
But what did happen was all these people started buying gold, right? And there were none of the buyers out there that were actually buying the gold. So who's buying the gold? Well, it was central banks. And I'm guessing it was our central bank. We needed to go fill it up. Like, hey, somebody's coming in to inspect.
Which is not a government-owned deal.
No, well, technically it's not a
Right.
government
I have
deal.
a lot of educating to do for myself.
That's-
because I have no
auditing
idea
it.
what's going on.
Yeah.
So read the-
Fort Knox they said, like secured like Fort Knox. Like, it's allegedly, and I'm not super brilliant in this space by any means, but allegedly there's a place called Fort Knox that's highly, highly protected. That's got tons of gold, and there's tons of, that's where it's supposed to back
Where
the
is
dollar,
it?
but the dollar's not connected to gold anymore. And
Where-
like, where's
Well,
the
where
gold?
is Fort
That's
Knox?
what I'm asking about.
No, but where though? I'm gonna ChatGPT
in the
and I are gonna
Midwest.
have a conversation.
in the
and we're gonna
Midwest.
figure it out.
I'm like, where's the gold in Fort
Tennessee,
Knox?
Kentucky. I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's
Well,
it's a real place, but
Okay.
Yeah.
no one's knows what's in it, if anything.
Yeah,
and
people have gone in, several a decade or so
We
ago,
need-
and they've like audited, but the audit was basically some people brought them some gold bars that they wanted them to look at, and they found them on a list, and so that's not how you audit, obviously, in a business,
Yeah.
right?
We need Nicholas. Nicholas Cage. We need him. Nicholas.
here.
Nicholas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have a lot of investigating to do because I'm interested now.
So read The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Okay.
Funny story. I in 2011, 12 was kind of my awakening. And so I read that book, and I remember coming out of my office and my wife's in the kitchen, I don't know, doing something. And I'm like, honey, you wouldn't believe what I just learned. The Federal Reserve Bank. It's not federal. There's no reserves, and it's not a bank. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's not federal.
It's
She's
a
like,
business.
well,
Oh my
didn't the
gosh.
president just like appoint Bernanke, I think at the time? And I'm like, no way. And I'm like, okay, he did. And so then I'm confused again. But that book is incredible.
Isn't
gonna
it
read
owned by a family? I don't know, but
Brooks,
is it
Brooks,
is it
you want,
like
you
the
want a mic? Brooks
the
has
Federal
got something
Reserve,
to say over there.
that the central bank is what I've heard. Again, I don't know if it's true or not. So fact check me on this, but it's owned by
3 o'clock.
families. Like, it's
Yeah.
a privately
Yeah.
owned
It is a private
reserve, which
Yep.
is bananas. Bananas to think
Wow.
about. Yeah,
How do we get on that?
me.
I'm so glad we did. I'm glad. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah. Just.
I want to
it's
bring up
fu-
one quick thing you said. You said you were talking about if their business fails, then they could go back to the W-2 or something and it would feel safe. And I think it does feel safe. But that reminded me, I was giggling when you said that, because I'm thinking, if you ever watch the zombie movies, like, people will run and lock themselves in cages in the zombie movies, right? So the zombies can't get them. And so, being locked in a prison, you're going to voluntarily go put yourself in prison.
Yeah.
But we will often run towards things that are safe, as opposed to doing the thing that we know we can do if we can believe in ourselves. And so to me, that is a big risk, is that people see it
Yeah.
as safer and they give up on their dreams.
It's also like, it's 2025. Like, anything you want to know, you can go seek it out. Like, you can
Yeah.
go figure it out. You can go hire a mentor. You can literally, I was just telling this to one of our personal assistants earlier. I was talking to Josh. I'm like, dude, like, you want to be a famous MMA fighter? Go follow who your mentor, your people that you are inspired by. Go follow who they're following.
Go to Russia and go live with those guys. Seriously. Like,
Well, we'd have to find a new PA, but yeah, I was like, information's at your fingertips. You have to seek it out. And I think the only reason that people would would entertain the idea of just like closing up shop and going to do the safer thing, what appears to be the safer thing, is they're just so burnt out and so tired that they just can't see clearly. So I think it's important for people to, obviously, when you learn something like me, like just learning about this whole Fort Knox thing in this book I'm like, oh, I'm going to go now and go down the rabbit hole and go educate myself on it, because there's a lot to learn. Instead of viewing it as like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. It's like, no, there's so much to learn, and that's exciting.
Yeah,
it's the mindset, really. And I know that's like not maybe a cool
I think
conclusion.
It's so cool.
Oh, I know, but I think it's cool. But I'm saying, when people slide into our DMs or they're asked like, oh, how did you learn how to do this? How did you do this? And I'm just like, honestly, it's a lot of it was just, I wanted to learn how to do it.
And you did the work.
And and I sought out what I wanted to know, and I think that's a major piece of the puzzle as to whether someone will make it or not make it in whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah. And I was talking to my CFI while we were flying today, and a lot of these guys are trying to get their license and go do their thing, like get their checks and go. Like I enjoy learning from people who are great at what they do. Like my CFI is amazing at what he does. Like he's so good at flying helicopters, but I enjoy just being around those people and learning from them. I'm in no hurry to go run off and go, but I think a lot of people they're in the hurry to go like do the thing or get it done rather than be in the learning environment, which is, I love that space. But when you're constantly in that space, you end up coming to know a lot of things. You become an expert in things by just sitting in that and just being around it and being consumed in the learning.
Because you're in the presence of somebody who's a master at what they're doing, you're saying.
Yeah. And I love that. I become unfulfilled a bit if like I'm the
smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, like if we're talking about something that I know a ton about, like I'm not as sparked up. I'm happy to share because I've come to learn some stuff, but I don't get as excited as like when you just get into something, you're just brand new and you're like, oh my goodness, like what is going on? And you're just trying to catch everything, and like I love that space.
Because by the time that you're the smartest guy or the most skilled at it, you've done your 10,000 hours, then it's normal to you, right? That you can't understand, like it doesn't seem like a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Like not everyone's doing this. Like no, not everyone's put 10,000 hours into that, So I love that. And then, Rachel prepared a acapella song she's going to sing for you.
Sweet.
I am literally going to die right here. Fun fact. So I actually was in choir growing up and like, middle school, high school, and I am really good at it. Thank you. But I will not sing in front of others, like period. Like
she can carry a tune. She can sing.
I cannot. I will sing to our babies, but I will not like sing in front of a crowd. I can speak in front of a crowd. I don't get nervous at all, but singing in front of a crowd, I would literally just melt into a puddle on the floor. So no, I will not be singing. But I do want to, like, as you guys are talking about the topic of like being immersed in an environment, like where you are not the expert in the room and like you are just all up in the environment. There's actually, I had a couple people come to mind actually, because we actually had I was going through our resumes a few weeks back and we had a couple of salon owners apply to be an assistant at our salon. And I was like, huh? And at first I was like, is this like, this name's so familiar, and then it's like, it's the same person. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. But like, did they mean to do this, And they messaged me and they're like, hey, I don't know if it's like weird for you or not, but like, I would love to come assist at your salon. Like I would love to learn. I'd love to see what you guys got going on. I'd love to see, like get a firsthand look into like your business. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be as an amazing assistant than this person? My gosh.
That'd be a great offer.
No, they literally are working for us right now.
Yeah.
They're literally working with us right now.
That's awesome.
And we have another one. She actually just started. She's driving like multiple hours every time that she lives probably 3 or 4 hours away, and she's driving that many hours each way once a week to come assist. And it's been awesome. And I'm like, And I told the team, I'm like, hey, FYI, she's not going to be here forever. So, don't get too used to like having, someone who's super experienced as an assistant, a salon owner.
Just like crushing it.
Yeah. I'm like, don't get,
This isn't real.
don't get spoiled here,
Yeah.
But I just thought that was so cool. Obviously we're paying them, the same rate that we pay all of our assistants. And, but I just think it's really awesome that they would like do that. I mean, what a like humbling thing to do,
It is, but it's super smart.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Now she's like, hey, can I like come and like check out the warehouse and this and that? And I'm like, yeah. So it's like, if you want to be like, you want to learn, like, don't be afraid to like reach out to go walk up to that person and talk to that person and that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
And I think that's been really, really awesome. And I think there's so many, like, that's a rare type of person that would do that anyway.
But it's also a rare type of person who would accept it and
Yes.
take it on your side, because so many people see this as competition, as somebody's going to take all
I
my
didn't
ideas.
see that at all.
right?
I was like, oh my gosh,
Which
what a
aren't
great idea.
like it's likely not that person's idea.
Right.
Like everything in business
I doubt it.
has been
I mean, whatever.
Nothing
been
new under
done.
the sun, right?
There's nothing new, man. Everyone's been doing the same thing forever,
Yeah.
So it's just who's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think, because this isn't the first time this has happened. So this is probably like the third or fourth time that we've had somebody who's graduated our program or been in one of our programs, like come and work with us. And the first person who did, like, there were times, I mean, of course, our business, like we have, a couple of bad apples here and there. And we had somebody griping in the break room and they were like, do you realize how good you have it? Like, do you have any idea how good you have it? And like, they didn't realize like, oh crap, like she is a business owner. Like she's like, she was learning so much, like being there and just like what we think is normal, like how you guys were talking about, like, like oh, the guy's got 10,000 hours. Like everybody does that. It's like the things that we think are normal are actually like really astounding, and like the golden nugget that person might have needed to like take their business to a newer level, So anyway, like, us being able to hang with you and hear your, like at BYOB Palm Springs, we heard your presentation. We've heard it before, but the way you guys delivered
That was really good.
it was great. Yeah.
Thanks.
And our clients, like some of our clients had like seen you guys speak before, some of them hadn't. And it was really cool to see it, because it's like, it doesn't matter how many times you hear it, you pick up something new.
Yeah, I listened to it again. I've heard you speak a bunch, but like I'll sit down and I'll pick up new things. But I like to learn. Like
Yeah.
I like to be like, I'll post up and like I'm not like, oh, I've heard Gary speak, and like that. I think that's a trap for people. Like you do
Like
it too. Like you've
assume-
seen us speak a bunch, and you're right there, just kind of
Yeah.
checking it out.
You're always in a different place, because you now understand the stuff that you absorbed last time, but also just in life, and you could be ready now and not before. So
That's one thing I was saying, is because sometimes like people who have gone to our events are like, oh yeah, I've seen, I've heard Rachel stepping in a CEO segment, or I've heard Drew's sales segments, and I'm like, yeah, but are you doing it? Like that's the difference is are you doing the thing that you've learned, and for some people, they maybe didn't have the capital or the money, or, what the timing wasn't right, or whatever it was, to do to set up their life policies, or set up with a CPA firm that we recommend, or deploy these different things, because they're still like implementing and fixing things.
Yeah.
And so like hearing it that one more time is helpful, because it reminds them of what they already know, but then it also just reestablishes that fire within them of like, yeah, this was that important to me, and I kind of let it go off the wayside.
Yeah.
So
Well, I love how your business continues to evolve. I mean, when we first joined and started participating with you, and you had the opportunity to bring us to one of your events, the CEO Club was a really big part of it, you know? And then it's like you were teaching them all the things about marketing and revenue and scale. And then you just created this very profitable case study. Let's employ this stuff, put this into practice with hair extensions, a business. And now all of your CEO types are over there, and they're learning a tremendous amount, because it's kind of it is a case study that
Right.
they're doing on their own.
yes, exactly.
It's really impressive.
And thank you. It's been so cool to watch all of them too, like be able to create these other revenue streams, because obviously like fixing your business is, yes, you can brainwash yourself into believing that this is so fun, it's like kind of not. But it's like, this is fun, or I'm going to like fix all my contracts. I'm going to now raise all my prices.
Get my rebooking percentage up. Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's just not,
Very
it's
exciting.
not as like immediately like this creative fun thing. There's usually a lot of like stress and,
Oh, it's boring.
they're looking at numbers over and over again that they're not used to looking at. And, anyway, it's just, it's a lot of new things that they have really put off. And I think that, for me personally, as well as a lot of the business owners that we help, being able to build their own brand and being able to see like, hey, I'm going to fix my business as quickly as possible so that I can get over here and do this really fun, creative thing. That has been almost more motivating and more exciting for them to be able to do that, which is, I think, why it's taken off the way that it has, is because it allows them to have more creativity involved. And I believe, especially also for myself, because, we own salons and then we also have other companies, it's a nice creative relief and outlet for me to be able to also have that company and to be able to help these awesome women like build their own brand. We even have a few guys now.
Yeah.
What's up, Richard?
Yeah, that's awesome.
First and only.
That's great. But I think how many like guys haven't built their brand?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like it's such a
Well, there's a lot of guys
blue
that,
ocean.
at least from my perspective of the industry, I see a lot of men that are really, really great at haircutting. Like they're very logical. They're very like, that's like really where they shine. I've met a lot of really, really talented male cutters. And then a lot of times like men, and we actually have a couple locally that we're coaching. Actually, sorry, not just Rich. We have a couple. We have Troy too.
Yeah, I got Troy.
Yeah, Troy. But I actually used to work for, believe it or not. And so like helping them be able to expand outside of what's safe, what they know, and be able to like, hey, I can bring on this other service. And yeah, maybe mostly women do this service, but I can do it too. And this service is way more high ticket. It yields way more profit, which allows me way more growth opportunity inside of my business, which then your business as your income tool allows you to save for your future.
Yeah.
And, I think that our clients specifically, like for them to understand, okay, I fixed my business, I build my brand, I have way more profit, and now what do I go do with it? That's why we keep, we keep wanting you around. We want to show them what they can go do and what they can set up and how they can use it, to achieve their goals beyond just their salon. Like being a salon owner for most is not just the end all be all. It may have been at one point, but once you do that, okay, check. Now it's like, as an entrepreneur, what's the next thing? Like, what's the next thing that I'm fired up about that I'm going to go create? And I love when we had our first meeting with you, you had this wealth dashboard, which was so cool.
Yeah.
And I loved looking at that. And like, because
I didn't want to do the meeting. We were in
Yeah,
I
that's
was
right.
so annoyed. I
We
was
were
like,
in
damn it,
Mexico.
Drew, sit down.
I
We're
was
going to do
like,
the meeting.
I'm like, who's that? I'm like, we're in Mexico.
Not
just
Rachel.
like-
She was all
No,
in.
she's
was
all in the
like,
meeting, and then I
listen
sat
here.
down, and I'm like, and then we got to talk. We had to go, and I was like, okay, this is pretty
Well,
cool.
I think I might have said something along the lines of, you want to be old and broke? We're taking the call. Like, you would be old, wrinkled, and broke. We're going to take the call. So it was important for me just to like hold that line and like,
Yeah, you
put
got it.
myself at
You got
issue
it
with
before
you.
I got it. That's for sure.
I just I was just like, I've always been on this pursuit of like, I want to be wealthy. I want to live a big life. I want to help people. I want to be able to leave a legacy for our kids, because none of that is being left for us. Like, we love our family, but like that is not, no one showed them. They don't know how, they aren't seeking out how, like, so it's us. Like, we're the ones that are going to make it happen. And so, when I met you and obviously heard about what you do and what you, the calls that we had with you, and it wasn't just one call that we had with you. We had like multiple calls with
Like
you.
4, 5.
Yeah, because I remember even getting off the first call. I'm like, so where do we sign up? And he's like, I don't know. He didn't tell us like that there was anything to sign up for. And I was like, we're supposed to do this homework and show up to the next call. So
Like, I think he just like helped us.
I know, it was so strange. It was great, but it was so
Yeah, it was
strange because we're so used to like, you get on a call, it's a sales call, and they sell you something, and they
it's
never talk to you
too,
again.
like,
And that's just not what it's like with you.
Could you explain to the listeners what a fiduciary responsibility means, and
Sure.
like the difference between like a financial advisor?
Yeah, and I mean, fiduciary responsibility just means that you operate in the best interest of the client, not your own. You know, not we'll give you the biggest sale, the biggest commission, whatever, however you get compensated, but you operate in the best interest of the client. Well, what does that mean? Like, where's the actual Ouija board that says what the best interest is? I mean, you have to use your understanding, your education that you've got, and gaining all of these licenses. And so there's probably some disagreement and argument on what the actual best interest is. But if you have to, as best you understand your job, you have to operate in the best interest of the client. And so a market-based financial advisor versus someone who is what we call wealth strategist is that we're trying to focus on having clients maintain control over their assets. So if you the ultimate of not maintaining control is handing your money to somebody at Fisher Investments and
Charles Schwab.
Edward Jones.
right? And they say, you know what, we got you covered. Like, here's some pretty glossies. You're going to be just fine at retirement. But you don't have any idea. I mean, it's very close to gambling if you think about it. Like, I handed my money to some guy, and it went into this mutual fund basket of things that for some reason he chose, and it went up or didn't go up. Right?
And they're not aware of like their fees, and they're not
right. Yeah. So, yes, exactly. It can all get kind of dragged down. Even if you are successful, you're less successful than you would have been.
Yeah, there's a really good book. It's a huge book, and it's a big achievement for me a long time ago. It was called Money Master the Game.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins. That was the first time I learned about I learned about insurance policies, and then we set up the wrong kind, which you know about.
Well, yeah, that book has the wrong kind in it.
That's got it. Yeah, that's probably why.
Several $100,000 just locked up right now. But
Yeah, can't
it's
get
fine.
it. But
I
we'll
will get
move
it eventually.
And it's not a bad tool. It was just not a good tool for this purpose.
For
right?
what we want to do.
I mean, I understand that you like sedans. I love sedans, but don't use it for a tractor, right? It's a different tool.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of people I'll talk to, and like, I'm a financial advisor, and like, you know, like I'm not going to engage in that conversation, but man, I don't know of a wealthy guy who has a financial advisor, you know, like a truly wealthy person that goes to Charles Schwab and be like, okay, what we're going to do,
I think it's your responsibility. Like, I think what you're trying to explain is like, it's your responsibility to like to educate yourself and grow your money.
No one's going to grow your money for you.
No. And I actually remember like years and years and years ago, I remember I had Kenzie. She was probably 2 or 3 years old, and like I was pregnant with Evan, and you know, at the time I'm like, okay, like I'm a young parent, like I'm not making a ton of money at the time, but you know, we bought our first house, and like, you know, we need to set things up for our kids, you know. And so what do? You set up an appointment with Edward Jones, you know. That's what you did. And so, you know, Brad came over, Brad Glenn, you know, nice guy.
2 first names.
Yes, he has 2 first names. So he came over, and I was referred to him from somebody, you know, because of course, like, what do you do when you don't know what to do? You ask your mom, you ask your dad, you know, you ask a family member or a neighbor. And so the thing to do was call Edward Jones. And so I got assigned to this guy, Brad. And so Brad's like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow at 4:00. I'm like, all right. And so, you know, I made sure that Kenzie and Evan's father at the time, like, he was home, and I'm like, okay, we're going to set at the dining table, and everything to look nice. You know, Brad's coming over from Edward Jones. This is a big deal for us, you know, and sat down at the table, and he's like going over all these different products and all this shit that I didn't understand. And so he ended up leaving, and I was like, man, like, we did it. Like, we set up term life policies. Like, we are going to be rich one day. We set up term life policies, and we set up a 529 for Kenzie. Like,
done.
We are, and we also set up some mutual, like, we have made it. You know, and I always had that excitement about like being able to not only, you know, earn money, but be able to grow money and protect it and be able to leave it to our family. Like, that was always the intent. But the problem is Brad, you know, was walking out to get into his car. I look at his car, and I'm like, his car is missing a rim, and he has a bunch of dents in the side of it.
What's up with that, Brad?
Like, and it's like just scooting down the street, and I'm like, he's gonna teach us how to be wealthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. I mean,
how long did that moment? Like, how long was that moment when you noticed that?
how long did I sit in that moment of like skepticism about Brad?
Like, what's up with that car? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just a few minutes, and then I was kind of like, I don't know about him.
This felt a lot like purchasing a Kirby vacuum.
It was just like that. But like the point was is like
great.
What I wanted to do was I'm like, okay, so we just put all of our money and everything into this guy's hands. And he was so nice. I was like, he has a kid, he's married. I mean, surely, he works, he's a financial advisor. Like he's gonna know how to take us, to the wealth land, and it just never happened. But it was cool because I'm glad I got to have that experience like way early on, and I was like maybe 23 years old and I had that experience. And then I started doing my research, and I started like figuring out, okay, that didn't feel right. Like instinctively, I think you can, like you've got to count on your instincts too, of like your spidey senses of like, is this something fishy about this, But also I think you genuinely know when someone is trying to help you and they really are trying to steer you in the right direction. But at the end of the day, if you're just like, shoveling out money for fees and commissions and stuff like that, and you really don't understand where your money's going, I think it's still your fault. Like you have to figure out where is it going and why is it there, and ask questions.
And the problem with being able to figure out if somebody really is helping you or not, or wants to help you, is that the Edward Jones guys have drank the Kool-Aid too. I mean, they think they're helping you.
Oh, I know. Yeah, right. Totally. And he's so nice.
I mean, we had this, the 1900s, or 1900 to 2000, to me, the 20th century was about America moving away from control and independence and freedom and agency. We moved into the industrial world after World War II, and everybody became a W-2 employee. And then in the early 70s, they said, hey, this math isn't mathing. This isn't working out. We can't pay for retirement all these people that are starting to live a lot longer than they used to. So we need to do this 401k thing and have them invest themselves. And all of a sudden, overnight, in the mid-70s, everyone became an expert in the markets. Right? And that's not going to work because no one actually became an expert. They just found an Edward Jones kind of guy and gave him all the money, and they abdicated the responsibility to maintain control of the financial situation for their family.
Yeah.
Like, how are you guys doing? I don't know. Our advisor says we're doing just great. What does he have you doing? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Another question for you. Do you think Social Security is a Ponzi scheme?
Well, it's definitely a Ponzi scheme. I'm not saying it's an intentionally illegal thing, but the idea, yes, is that people who are working today are paying for people who are no longer working. And the only reason we're paying the people who aren't working is because we're still collecting money from the new people, right? If you stop collecting money from the new people, which supposedly is for their retirement, it's actually going to pay for current retirements.
Right. Yeah. So it's not going to work for you. So don't rely on Social Security for your retirement. Parents.
Don't retire. That's my recommendation.
Don't retire.
Don't retire. Find something you love to do and keep doing it.
I can't imagine retiring. Like, even if like we had all the money that we ever wanted and had, like be able to do whatever we want, have whatever we want, go wherever we want. I would be bored to tears. I'd be like,
you would be.
Oh my gosh.
I would feel bad for you.
I mean, if you give me a 65 Ferrari, Drew, it's old. It's time for retirement, but I promise you I won't retire it. Just because it's old and super amazing, why would you get rid of it? Why put it in the junkyard?
That's the same way I think about a bathtub. Like, I hate...
Don't retire the bathtub.
No, I just, like, when people are like, oh, I love baths, and I just light candles, I love baths and bubbles and all that, and I'm just like, I am bored to tears in the bathtub.
You're too busy for that, lady.
I was sitting in the bathroom like, it's hot, I'm sweaty, I don't know what to do, like, I'm just sitting there, am I supposed to close my eyes? I don't know.
Water's dirty. Now.
Oh yeah, I'm a germaphobe.
And then just
I really
sit
am.
in it.
So it's a big swimming pool for Memphis.
It's just gross. Yeah, don't bathe with your kid because they pee in the water.
Yes.
For sure.
But yeah, I just think it's like one of those things. It's like you think you get there and then you're there, whether it be, you're in your Ferrari or you're on a yacht or you're on in a bathtub.
In your Ferrari on the yacht.
Sure. You're doing that and it's supposed to feel one way. It's supposed to feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be enjoying this. I'm supposed to be like, being present and relaxing. And a lot of times it's like, if you are like, you're an entrepreneur to your core, like you are built to create, it's like you're not really satisfied there. So I personally don't see myself retiring.
No.
Like ever.
And you guys were there before what I call kind of the great reset. And it's not the financial reset that everybody talks about. For me, it was COVID. It was, I think the 21st century is going to be America going back to its roots. And I'm super inspired about that, both with religion and all the crazy stuff that happened with the recent Charlie Kirk event.
Yes.
And so many people going back to church. I mean, I think that's incredible. But you also see it, happening with business. And I think the big reset with business and entrepreneurship came in after COVID. So many people were at home. They had these little side gigs going on that became the main gig. And then they were told, hey, you got to go back to the office. And they were like, no, I don't think so. I remember this freedom and agency thing that I just got exposed to. I want that.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, our salons have changed definitely. I mean, we have like the way that we do our schedules, the way that we do, like we staff our chairs and stuff, like it's all different. Like we used to have stylists that would work 5-6 days a week. You know, that was like the way that I worked. I mean, I was there, the first one there, the last one to go home. I was there on Sundays doing all these other things.
8 days a week.
8 days a week, yeah. And that's just not the way it goes anymore. And I think a lot of business owners, if they're old school or they're like stuck in their ways and resistant to change, you know, they almost feel like, okay, well, this is how, this is what I did, therefore this is how it has to be for them. And I just think you're so off base if you think like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to be like, all right, if this is what the workforce needs and wants, I'm rolling with it, you know. And I think that's why we have such a great, we have never ending faucet of people that want to work with us, is because of that. Because most of the time it's like 3-4 days a week, and our girls can make whatever they would have made in a week in those 3 days, and then they can go home and be with their families, you know. And and some of, I mean, most of them don't really have side hustles, but if they wanted one, you know, they could, you know, do that. They could be able to be present in their lives and stuff. So I think it's really cool, to be able to, like, just the workforce is just so different now.
Being malleable. A lot of people are very rigid in their thinking, you know, especially when it comes to money or what to do. They're not open to learning. It just goes back to the learning thing that we were talking about before, you know.
Yeah.
So I have a question for y'all. So you are entrepreneurs. You love helping people start businesses and become successful. Do you have a lot of people in your salons that you know, get the spark and they move on, and you have to hire new people, or do they pretty much stay with the team?
Well, that's a good question.
Depends on which business.
It's what we look for is we got to make sure like our dreams are so big that theirs can live inside of them.
Nice.
I think that's the first place. And the goal is not to hire entrepreneurial people, because there's a type of person and not everyone's entrepreneurial, you know. But we do like people that are intrapreneurial, that want to
build
climb,
your business. Yeah.
but they have a goal that we can work together to achieve together.
They can achieve that goal inside your business.
I
Yes.
don't know of a single person that has worked with us. Like, and our salons have been open since 2015. I don't know of a single person that has actually like succeeded at being like a salon
Interesting.
owner.
You're really good at hiring people to be entrepreneur.
Well, there's
That's
certainly people that have gone out and done booth rent or whatever, which is like basically where you rent a chair.
But not become a salon owner.
No.
Because if you can get that as the owner and understand, because as you know, if you own something, like your costs go up tremendously, you know. So it's, if you can get people working with you and you can understand what they're looking to accomplish, and then help them get there through a joint effort, a partnership, if you will, you know, there's a lot more fulfillment, and there's a lot more money to be made that way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the main thing that I see our team wanting is like, they just want to earn as much as they can. You know what I mean? And so that can come in a variety of different places. It can come through services. It can come through like bonuses, extension bonuses. Like they can sell memberships and earn money that way. You know, there's a lot that can be made there. We even allow them the opportunity, like, hey, if you want to sell the salon's extension brand to stylist friends of yours, like you can earn a cut of that, you know? So,
and then when they have what Gary does, and they're like, oh, I can make the money, because people think all the income is how they like arrive at wealth, but the income goes into a policy of some kind, and that continues to grow, and they move that, and they're like, oh, wait, I have I have the thing here.
I think a lot of our team too, like we open up our events to our teams. Like you've met team members of ours that work at our salons. We opened up the entire Power Couple event that we had. Like, we had the ability to add some people to the event like a couple weeks out. And so I posted it in Basecamp for our team. I'm like, hey, here's a flyer, here's a link. It's not going to cost you anything. If you any married people up in here want to come to the event, like just here, click the link, sign up. Like you don't need to pay anything. All expenses are on us. And we had some of them show up, and it's like I think they love the idea that like whatever we're learning, whatever we're teaching, whatever we're doing, like we're just like, hey, come along, like come with us. And it's not like, well, we're going to go over here. You guys are going to stay over there. It's very inclusive. Yeah. And that I think has created so much loyalty with the team. We have some people that have never left.
We're like that. We are very, but that's who we are. We're very inclusive.
Yeah.
It makes for a Grand Central Station of a house, but we like it.
Yeah, I have no idea how many cars are in our driveway right now.
There's a lot.
And there's a lot of nice ones too.
There's a lot. Poor Gary, he's like, you got a lot of cars. I was like,
what are you doing with that used one?
This isn't our cars.
Oh my gosh, I need to. What's funny? They got that. I have my Yukon, right, and then I got my new car just like randomly got delivered in the driveway one day, because I was on a wait list for it, and then it ended up getting like delivered within a few days of getting an email about it. And so I kind of was like, well, okay, I guess I'm driving this now. And so then I like left all my stuff in my other car. I need to clean it out. Yeah. So I still have like a bunch of stuff in there, but
for sure. Well, I guess where can people find you, Gary? Like if they want to, I would highly suggest at least hopping on his calendar and having a chat with him. That's how we got all this going with you. But
the easiest way is my name. So it's just Gary at GaryPinkerton.com. And there you'll find everything that you want. You can find links to LinkedIn and the other social media if that's helpful. Lots of videos on YouTube. But you're right. It becomes, the concept you can get across in that first meeting, but then it becomes a very personal discussion about your financial situation.
Yeah.
And we build these to fit for each person. Mm-hmm. I just want to say again, I absolutely love working with all of your business owners. The roots in America about freedom and agency and why we've been this superpower and strong for so long is because the family unit is strong. It's tight.
Yeah.
And so you have all these business owners they're married and they have kids and they're controlling their own future because they're an expert in what they do.
Right.
And when they do hand money off, they're learning over time to make sure they can maintain some level of control. And control just simply means you understand what's happening and you're getting feedback from it. So, it's best if you're owning, you own a car wash or a laundromat or real estate and you rent it out. It's okay if you participate more passively in somebody else's deal, but you got to understand and you need to know a lot about it and you got to get frequent reports. Maintain the control as you branch out.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be so cool because SalonCon is coming up in January, which is
awesome.
Gonna be
in my state.
Yes, in your state. It's gonna be in Miami, January 24th through the 27th. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, get your tickets. But you guys will see Gary there at SalonCon and be able to see his presentation, be able to chat with him and his team, and be able to like get that consultation on the calendar. It's so important. And just to educate yourself on what's possible, and to really like look at your own personal life. And like most people aren't doing that. Most people are unwilling to do that. They spend so much time building their business and, consuming other education, but to look inward and look at their own reality, like that is a very important appointment that I think everybody should make. Just to get educated and be able to know what should you do? What could you do? To be able to really set yourself up for the future.
Certainly for the owners, but also for the managers and those that are renting a chair, right? Because they have young kids and there's people depending on this income. And so we made fun of term insurance because it was, it was sold to you kind of as an investment.
Oh yeah, but everybody should have a term
needed.
policy at the very least. Gosh, like I can't. You can, and I think at the time, I was 22 or so. It was so cheap. Oh my gosh, it was like $35 or something a month, and I was like, I got $1 million. Like you guys get $1 million if I croak. Like this is amazing, And so that was like the idea of that was so cool. And then actually every other business that we opened thereafter, I ended up getting another $1 million term policy because I was like, okay, whole life policy and my other life policies I have, that's for my family. But these term policies, if I die or something happens to me in the next 30 years, I've got one for each salon that can go and pay those bills. So that way the salons don't gobble up my like family life policies.
But can you tell them why term life insurance policies are so cheap and they can do that?
Sure. Yeah. So the word term in the policy means that it's for a period of time, a fixed period of time. It could be 30 years. It could be 10 years.
Mine were 30, yeah.
Yep. But they're all set up price-wise so that you don't end up having life insurance in place when you're likely to pass away. So it is an amazing protection vehicle, but it's inexpensive because it's protecting from an unlikely thing.
Oh, yeah. So if I live past my term policy, which I hope to, like obviously like that thing's going to evaporate and go away. And then I have my other life policies and I'm also my income and I'm building my wealth. The term policy for me was very much like a just in case situation, like just in case, like almost like, okay, in case this thing I don't have the time to get this thing to where I know I can get it. I've got this thing over here that'll pay out and take care of the family and take care of the businesses. So I'm not a financial burden on everybody if something happened.
Right. And so it's super unlikely that you would pass away before age 70, 75 or so. And so there are for periods of time when young families don't have the ability to save and kind of self-fund their future with all their investments, but they need to protect their family from the loss of that income right now. And they have a small budget. And so it works very well for young families, just like renting your house does. Right? Renting is not the way to wealth, right? And none of your family members said, when you grow old, I want you to make sure you rent for the rest of your life because that's the way to wealth. That's not it, right? So But when you buy that first house, you're like, man, I don't know what they were talking about because my rent was like $1,000, and now I've got this mortgage that's like $2,500, and I'm the guy who has to fix everything here, and I got taxes. Like it's much more expensive. Just like whole life insurance is quote more expensive than term, but it's because you're putting money in your pocket, just like buying your house. Right? And so I tell clients, like if you get confused on this whole family banking and whole life insurance thing, just think of your primary residence. Like you contribute more than you would if you were renting. And it's because you do it willingly because it's building equity.
Exactly.
And this thing is going up in value and you can borrow against it and allow it to keep growing in the background. So it's exactly like your own primary residence.
Yeah.
And it's amazing in America how it's been demonized. And so people say, don't do whole life insurance, but above all else, and make sure you buy your house. Like they're the same tool.
Yeah.
Financially.
Yeah.
But one's demonized, one's, if you don't do this, you're automatically a failure.
Well,
I think that you just have to be able to get the education to be able to fill in the gaps for yourself.
Yeah.
And not just like assume that, okay, well, my mom does this, therefore that's the way. No, not necessarily, like got to do your due diligence and be able to educate yourself on the process. And then obviously have those instincts of like, is this thing legit or not? And if you don't understand it, keep studying it until you do, whether you end up doing it or not, just to be able to you have to understand, again, it's your responsibility to grow your business. It's your responsibility to grow your own wealth and to be able to protect your wealth. And it's up to you, really is up to you what you leave your family and, if there is anything there. So,
and you mentioned like 5 meetings to get the thing set up right. And a lot of, I would say our average is 3 to 4. But if you're interested and you want to know some stuff about investments or maybe about setting up structures like trusts or the, legacy banking, then maybe we go a couple of meetings longer, but that's just the starting off point, right? Like that gets us to the bottom of the mountain. And then we start walking up the mountain together as a guide. And so we're meeting 3 or 4 times normally with clients each year.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's super valuable stuff. Like, so we'll put a link in the description below for you guys to be able to catch up with Gary, be able to check out his website, review his resources, things like that. And then obviously if you're coming to SalonCon, you guys can meet him in person and shake his hand and all the things.
Meet the whole team.
Meet the whole team. Yep.
Well, cool. So, awesome. Well, thanks for coming, Gary. Thanks for being on this show.
I loved it.
It was so cool.
Thank you guys for listening and for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye.